Hi everybody, welcome back to In The Huddle. I'm Julian Kushner. Before you go, please subscribe below and like the Facebook page in the description box. Today is Thursday, so we're talking about the big games this weekend. And let me tell y'all first, there's no college football this weekend. I'm so sorry. Last weekend was your college football weekend, and this week there's just none. So it's an NFL weekend because, as I've said before, basketball hasn't really taken off yet. So no big games really going on in basketball just yet. So NFL is what we're talking about today. So keep watching to find out the big games this weekend in the NFL. So this weekend is week 14 of the NFL season. There's 17 weeks before the playoffs start. So this is kind of like when it's crunch time for some teams, because there's a lot of teams that are kind of like teetering between making the playoffs or missing it, and so they're really trying to get those wins up. So this is like must-win time for everybody. Only one team has clinched their playoff berth, and that's the Dallas Cowboys. But they clinched it. Whatever. Congrats. They're the first team to do it, so they're safe. They can lose out the rest of the season and they're fine. Everyone else is not. Everyone else can fall out of their spot or move up spots, whatever. So everybody except the Dallas Cowboys is stressed out right now, basically. So every other team is kind of like has some big games coming up. Some teams stand no chance of making the playoffs, like the Browns, but there are some teams that are really close and just need like a couple more wins and someone else in their division to lose just to get bumped up and all that stuff. So we'll talk about those games today. So the first big game is the Thursday night football game, which is the Oakland Raiders versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Oakland Raiders are 10-2 and Kansas City is 9-3. This game is really big because, as I've said before, the Oakland Raiders are having a phenomenal season. I mean, it's weird. No one expected it. I sure didn't expect it, and they're having a great season. Right now, they're like really at the top of making the playoffs. Like, they should be good. I think if they win this weekend, they'd clinch it. The Chiefs are in the wild card spot, which I'll explain how the playoffs work in the NFL next week, but basically they're not for sure yet. They don't have like a secure spot just yet, so they really need to win to be able to make the playoffs for sure. So right now, the Kansas City Chiefs are in the first wild card spot in the AFC, and they're at 9-3. Denver's in the second wild card spot at 8-4, but the next team that's just out of the wild card spot is Miami, and they're at 7-5. So Kansas City should be fine. They should be able to like win enough games to make the wild card, but this is just not the time you risk it. Like, this is what it all comes down to. This is what your season comes down to. So they really do need to win this game. Both teams need to win it, but the Oakland Raiders are pretty much going to be fine even if they were to lose this, but if they won it, they'd be just like secure, good to go. Chiefs, this is really a lot's hanging on for them. The next big game is the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Buffalo Bills. Pittsburgh Steelers are at 7-5 and the Bills are at 6-6. This is really a big game for the Steelers because if they are to win, they would be bumped up in the playoff race. Right now, the Steelers are 2 spots out of the wild card spot at 7-5, which is the same as Miami, which is in number 3. But Denver, like I just mentioned, they're 8-4. So if Denver were to lose this weekend and the Steelers were to win, they could be in a position to be able to take that spot from Denver. So it would make for something interesting. Like I said, so many of these teams are in like must-win scenarios the rest of the season. So Pittsburgh is in the exact same spot. They're a very talented team, just have had some just like weird losses, bad losses along the way, but I think this is a very manageable game for them and they can absolutely win it and make the playoff race a little interesting. So I've mentioned Denver multiple times now. Like I said, at 8-4, they're playing the Tennessee Titans at 6-6. So of course, Denver needs to win this game to be able to hold their spot in the wild card where they are right now. Because like I just said, there's going to be Miami and Pittsburgh can both come for that spot. So, like I just mentioned, that game is going to be big as well. The next big game is going to be the Washington Redskins at 6-5-1 versus the Philadelphia Eagles at 5-7. Unfortunately, my Philadelphia Eagles probably won't make the playoffs, which hurts. But right now, the Redskins stand the best chance of making it into the wild card spot. The Redskins are currently one place out of the wild card spot. Tampa Bay is at 7-5 in the second spot. And like I just said, Washington is at 6-5-1. That tie is really hurting them, as it should, because if you get a tie, I mean, that's obviously going to hurt you down the road. But it's a big game for the Redskins. If they can win this, you know, they would stand a better chance of making the playoffs. If the Eagles were to win it, keep the dream alive, we might be able to make it. I've kind of accepted that we're not going to make it, so it's going to be okay, but kind of just sucks. And probably the last big game is going to be the Sunday night football game, which is the Dallas Cowboys at 11-1 versus the New York Giants at 8-4. This is a big game because it's one, a huge rivalry. Every team in the NFC East just hates each other, and these two teams are both in the NFC East, hate each other. They actually played at the beginning of the season. It was the first game of the season, and that's the only loss the Cowboys have is against the Giants. Like I said, the Cowboys have already clinched that playoff spot, but the Giants are in the first spot in the wild card at 8-4, and so winning this would just kind of help them even more. Because like I said, everyone else is stressed out except for the Cowboys. You know, they're chilling, they're laid back, they're fine. They don't have to win this game, but it's more of a pride thing, because if they lose this game, Giants fans won't shut up about it. And so no Cowboys fan wants to deal with that. Like I said, there's just so many rivalries. Every team in the NFC just hates each other. So this is more of a pride win. Like, Dallas Cowboys don't need to win it. The Giants do need to win it, but so much pride is at stake. It's just both teams really feel like they have to win it. So those are all the big games this weekend. Like I said, playoffs are coming up in the next few weeks. On Tuesday, I'm going to explain how the playoffs work in the NFL, because probably y'all are like, what the heck is a wild card? And I'll explain all of that. It's not as confusing as it sounds. It's just kind of like weird terminology that they use. But I'll explain that on Tuesday for y'all to better understand. But watch those games this weekend. Should be some good ones. I really think that Cowboys-Giants game is going to be a fun one. It's going to be a really heated rivalry between those two. Both some pretty good teams, and I think the Giants have such a fun team to watch in the receivers. They have both Odell Beckham and Victor Cruz, and they're both so fun to watch. So I would expect for a good game. It's going to be a home game for the Giants, so it could be fun, because you know it's going to be cold and those Cowboys can't deal with the cold. So I would definitely watch that game if you're going to watch any game, and I will see you guys next week. Have a great weekend.